Hey folks, welcome to Between Awesome and Disaster. This is your host, Will Carey. I appreciate you guys listening as always. For anyone who's in the New York City area and listening to this, I'm going to be doing a kind of interesting show at the People's Improv Theater this Wednesday, the 19th of September at the People's Improv Theater at 8 o'clock. I'm going to be playing bass as part of a wrestling talk show called Jerkin' the Curtain that's put on by my friend Chris Miliaccio, who's you might have heard on the show before, and a bunch of other really funny people. It is it's basically the Tonight Show if it was exclusively about professional wrestling, and I'm going to be playing the theme song and all the intro and outro music, so it'll be fun. I think tickets are $7. You can get them at thepitnyc.com, and if you guys want to check that out, if you want to see me do stand-up, my next stand-up spot, and this is a long plug, but November 4th, I'll be doing a spot on my friend Alex Patek's show, Good News. It's in, I believe, in Lower Manhattan. I'll have more info for you as we get closer to that. On the show today, comedian Katie Boyle. Katie did my show that used to run at the Creek in the Cave. You can use that, and I didn't know really much about her other that she was Irish. So it was really nice to sit down and get to chat with Katie about comedy and Ireland and just the whole thing. Because and I've brought this idea up before, the fact that I feel like I know a lot of people, but I don't really know a lot of people, and this podcast allows me the opportunity to do that. And I thought it was a great chat, so I'm looking forward to that. I also, something else I've been doing lately, I've been getting back into playing music again. When I was in high school and college, I had played in a couple of pop punk rock kind of bands, and I hadn't played music in a long time, but I had written a bunch of songs with my friends, Benil Jermosin, former guest on the show, and my friend Corey Nachman, who hasn't been on the show yet, but the next time he's in New York, I'm going to fix that. And I had a week when my girlfriend was out of town for work, and I just recorded a bunch of these songs that I had been sitting on for a while that I had worked on with Corey and Benil, and I liked the way they turned out. You might start to hear like bits and pieces of them in the interlude music on this podcast, but I'm debating whether I should put them out on their own, because I'd really like to, at least in some capacity, play music again. I don't know if I'm going to start another band or do a solo acoustic thing, but I really like those songs that I wrote with Benil and Corey, and I hope people get to listen to them someday. So if you are interested in that, or if you just want to feel, because I need encouragement I'm confident with this podcast, and I'm confident with my abilities reasonably in comedy, but my music, but writing my original music is I'm always shy to share with people. So if you just hear a stranger needing encouragement, that's always appreciated as well. So thank you. If you guys enjoyed the show, you can get a rating on iTunes or Stitcher. I would greatly appreciate it. And tell a friend, because these kinds of things grow through word of mouth. And the more people who know about this, the more people I can get on, and I can really start to interview some of my heroes. So that would be great. Thank you guys again for listening. Let's go to my chat with Katie Boyle. Whereas, like, I'm from a very small town in Maryland where if like a legitimate Saturday night plan was to go and hang out at the grocery store with my friends.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, we did that in Ireland. That's
literally what we did, yeah.
But that was just so we could try to get someone to buy us booze.
Sure. Yeah, I never did that. I'm such like, I am such a goody two-shoes. Like, I didn't drink until I was 23.
Oh my God.
It took me a while, but I've made up for it since.
Did you have sex before you were 23?
No, I had sex when I was 20.
How did you have sex for the first time sober? Wow, good for you.
Well, because well, because I didn't start drinking until after college. I might have had a Mike's Hard Lemonade or something like
Yeah, which is
my
like
senior year. But well, yeah, well, no, and the girl I lost my virginity to, like, we were dating, and she had sex, I hadn't had sex, so she was like, well, when you're ready, I would have sex with you, and I'm like, oh, okay, and then later we did.
Wow.
But I think that's part of like the environment. I don't know if you can relate to this. Like where I grew up, I had no like close friends within walking or bike distance.
Yeah.
I was just talking to Sam Evans about this. Like, so if I wanted to go anywhere or go see my friends, like have a sleepover or something, I needed my mom or dad to drive me because I didn't get my license until my senior year of high school.
Yeah.
So I was just sort of like, alone in my room for a lot of the time.
Which I guess made you a creative person, maybe?
I think so. Like, I think there's a certain element of like a lack of stimulus. Like you're just with your imagination and your thoughts.
Your visible friends.
Yeah.
It's actually just because I grew up in Ireland. I actually grew up in a like a suburb with like houses, and my father lived on a farm, so I would see that when I would go home at the weekend. I would have to meet friends. I would have to get a lift there, but during the week I just go outside, and everybody was just outside playing on the street because it was like housing, a residential area.
Yeah, so like lots of houses and lots of
friends,
people playing like football in the street.
Yeah.
Or something. So where in Ireland did you grow up?
Kildare. A place called Leeslip. It's where the Guinness family are from originally.
Oh, okay. How I know so little about Ireland. I just went there for the first time this summer. Is that like a suburb of Dublin, or is that a suburb of another city?
Kind of. It's technically in Leeslip is technically in Kildare, which is a separate county, but it's attached to Dublin. So Leeslip would be nearly a suburb of Dublin because a lot of people from the city would have moved out there.
Ah, okay.
So it's like on the border of Dublin, but Kildare is a county.
Ah, gotcha. I'm the same way. I tell people the county I'm from. I'm from Calvert County in Maryland, because the actual individual town is so small and there's so little going on that it's kind of hard to. Well, in Ireland, describe it.
People would say they're from like the way you say you're from a state. We would say we're from a county. So we don't. It's like there's 32 counties, and when you say where you're from in Ireland, you say the county.
Gotcha.
So Dublin is a county.
Dublin
to us, but that's kind of like you saying you're from New York.
Yeah, it's a city, but it's also like there's Manhattan County or there's Queens County.
No.
In the different boroughs.
Well, yeah, I just think we use county in a different way.
I would imagine so, but it makes sense. Like there's divisions of there's ways to kind of divide up the country.
Okay, yeah.
Similar to in America, but the thing I forget about in America, and especially when I like meet people who like grew up in Europe, is America compared to like a lot of other countries is huge. So like I envy the kind of well-traveledness of people who are from Europe, because they can just, I think I'll go to Spain for the weekend, or I think I'll go to Istanbul and be an entirely different universe from where I live.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Whereas like in the States, I can like, I live in Maryland. Could go to Virginia.
Yeah.
And there's not too much of a difference.
It is huge. Like there's 8 million people in New York, and then there's 4 million in Ireland.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that's again country versus city.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I don't know how people in New York with all these other people aren't just losing their minds constantly.
Yeah.
But I loved Ireland for the longest time because my last name was Carey. I thought I was Irish, but I had the ancestry DNA thing done.
Great.
And I think it's actually rooted in in England.
Oh yeah, okay.
My family, but I always have like an affinity for Irish countryside and Irish folk music is sort of where my heart is.
A lot of Americans love Ireland, but it's kind of like you wouldn't want to live there forever. Like, well, I don't.
I would imagine so if you're living in the United States.
It's nice to go there for a holiday, and it's like, but it's consistently quite wet and grey and sad. So I feel like people have a weird version of what they think Ireland is, but yeah, it's only like that for about a week.
Yeah, there's kind of like a romanticism.
Yeah,
about
everybody
it.
wants to be Irish all of a sudden, which is mad.
Yeah, and everyone is Irish for one day in March. It's a little crazy. So you grew up outside of grew up in the suburbs of Ireland. What was your home life like early on? Do you have like siblings?
I do, but not until I was older. I'm the oldest by like 12 years.
Okay, so you're effectively an only child for most of your childhood.
Yeah.
What were your folks like?
My dad is amazing. I don't speak to my mom because she's not a nice person.
Sure, I'm hip. I'm hip to that.
But my dad's the best. He's great. He says he's the funniest man he knows. So
I have found this, and I'm probably going to unintentionally try to confirm a lot of stereotypes I think about the people of Ireland. But when I was in Dublin, every person I met was the funniest person I've ever met.
Yeah, they're really funny.
Yeah,
Irish people are hysterical.
And where I'm curious where that comes from, because I took a tour at Kilman Gold, the jail in Dublin. Kilmainham. I'm sorry, I apologize. And the guy giving the tour he had the greatest jokes. He had like the greatest witticisms about, oh yeah, these were the cells where political prisoners, and oh yeah, someone got shot over there. And
we know how to have the banter, just fun chats and stuff, and don't really take anything too seriously. And yeah, that's just how you survive there. You have to be able to have a laugh.
Yeah, like everyone just gives each other shit, and then they shake hands and have a drink afterwards.
Yeah, maybe that's how we survive the grey, shitty weather.
Well, I would imagine so. Like, when I think of great great music cultures and great arts cultures, a lot of them come from the inclement weather. Like Canada has so many funny people in it, and I think it's because they can't leave their house for most of the year.
Yeah, probably.
You're just kind of in your thoughts,
Yeah.
So, okay, so growing up in Ireland, so your dad's great. What did he do if he's the?
He's a policeman. We call it the guards. He's a guard, and he breeds horses, and he's basically like a farmer and a guard.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I've made an entire biopic of him in my head just now.
No, he's good. He's a good looking man. He looks young. Yeah, he looks like in his 40s, but he's like in his 50s. My stepmom's super hot too. She's like 10 years younger than him though. Or like 9.
and she's the one that she's cool, I imagine.
Oh, she's amazing. I love her. She's like the best. She's they've been together for like 20 years, but she's like super cool and hippie and fun and
yeah, sort of like that sort of like wavy gravy kind of vibe.
Yeah, I like a little. She's also like really logical and normal and doesn't throw plates at us, so that's fun.
Well, that's I've found in my life that my opinion of people is always higher if they're not throwing stuff at me.
I know, it's so much better.
Yeah, amazingly, interestingly. So early on. I'm not going to pry too much into your personal into the stuff you don't want to talk about, but so growing up, I'm curious, who were you in school? Because I have this idea of people I meet in America from the archetypes of your traditional teen school movies.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that I found people do kind of fit into those slots. There's the theater kids, which I definitely was. I definitely had the goth friends and the jock friends and all this. So is there an equivalent of that in Ireland that you were?
I definitely wasn't. I feel like I hung around with kind of people who didn't fit into any of that group. We were all very different, sort of weird, if that makes sense.
Totally.
I ended up going to art school, so I guess it was artsy and kind of just didn't really know. I tried to do the sports thing for a bit and then the emo thing for a bit. So just a bit of everything. I never really. I kind of went from group to group. I just like lots of people, so I just.
What did the emo thing look for you? How did that
I wore a
play
big
out?
cross. I still wear a small cross, but
Uh-huh.
a big one, and black eyeliner, and just listen to My Chemical Romance for a bit.
Oh, I love My Chemical Romance. I saw them on every single tour they did before they broke up.
Yeah, they're great.
I love them so much. Gerard Way seems like he'd be an interesting guy to hang out with.
Yeah.
Did you know he's married to the bassist for Mindless Self-Indulgence?
No.
I didn't know that.
I don't know who that band is. I obviously wasn't a hardcore emo.
How to describe Mindless Self-Indulgence? They're sort of like if you combined like a industrial techno sort of sound with metal guitars, it's sort of like it's kind of sounds like that. So it's like really grindy, like choppy, a lot of samples, and it would be great, I think, if you were like rolling on E.
Oh, nice. That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
I don't do E, but
Yeah, I was. I had a friend who was super into them in high school, and but yeah, for me it was like My Chemical Romance, and I listened to Dashboard Confessional a lot.
okay.
Do you know them?
No. I listened to Bullet for My Valentine a lot. I loved them.
Ooh, yeah, they're kind of heavy. I like
Yeah.
I like them. So, but that didn't quite stick.
No, I would just kind of change as I go. I never really fitted into
Yeah.
one particular stereotype. I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, were you like dealing with something? Were you depressed when you were emo, or is it just like
It's
a
just the
identity
people I was
thing?
hanging around with.
So you're like, oh, I kind of assimilate.
Yeah.
Kind of like
Well,
camouflage.
Maybe. I probably was a bit depressed because I was like not happy at home or whatever, but
Sure.
I can't really remember too much why. And I think that was part of the group at the time. Everybody was like, sad and cutting themselves.
Because of the gray and the wet.
No, I just think that was the group we kind of fell into. Like, they were all listening to that type of music, and
Sure.
yeah. Then that group, one of the guys who would listen to that music, then ended up being like a jock type of guy, and he's now like a bodybuilder actually.
That always blows my mind. Like some people are just really looking for like an identity, and like in college I knew a guy, and I would almost see him like trying to find himself because he would like change in like three within like sentences. Like he would go from like he'd be playing like his acoustic guitar, so maybe he's like trying to be like this sensitive like hippie type, but then he'd also go on like later like go on like some sort of like kind of like hard conservative kind of rant about like guns and stuff.
Yeah.
And then he'd also like talk about how much he loves hip hop.
But why can't he be all? Why do you have to fit into one? Like, it's like I like watching I like watching Gaelic football, but I don't like watching soccer. So just because I like one sport doesn't mean I have to like them all. I just mean I'm a jock, so like, or I'm good at playing some sports, but not, like I feel like that's more of an American thing to slot people into.
I think it definitely is because, well, there's all these like assumptions based on if you like a thing, then you're like this. Because I agree with you because I like soccer. That's like the only sport I follow though, because I don't really. I'm not like super passionate about the NFL or basketball, and I also like sort of like. I like sort of this like sad music, but I'm not like a cutter, and I don't journal, and I also like, and some of the comedians I like say really fucked up stuff, but it doesn't mean I agree with it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the best thing about being an individual. Just be who you want to be.
Yeah. Yeah, we're I think we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna fix the
Fix the
culture
world.
in this country by the end of this podcast, Katie Boyle.
I feel like the best thing is to just do what you want to do while being nice to people.
Yes.
But then then it all sort of works out. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like that's generally the case. Sometimes you're not nice to people and you become president, but
yeah, right. And you want us to leave.
Yeah.
No, he's cool with Europeans.
Yeah, I think he's generally. I think they get a pass.
Yeah.
So I'm curious when you were like in, is it not what's the equivalent of high school?
Secondary school.
Secondary school. Was there a point when you thought you were gonna move to America, or was that a dream, or was that just a thing that happened? I'm kind of want to trace this a little bit.
I was dating a guy for a few years, and then I broke up with him, and we were living together, and
While broken up.
No. I gave him a week to move out.
Gotcha.
And my cousin, I was just sort of a bit confused afterwards, and she was going to America for her 21st birthday, or no, actually she wouldn't have been that. Was she? Oh yeah, she was. Anyway, sorry, 21st birthday, and so she invited me to come along for a week. And when I came here, I was like, oh, this is where I'm meant to be. I just like felt like it. So then I saved up and paid for the visa and came over here, and that was that.
Oh, perfect. So how old were you? How old were you when this happened? And what city did you go to?
It would be 4 years ago in November, so I would have been 24, just turned 24.
Just turned 24. And did you guys come to New York initially to visit?
Yeah. No, I'd lived in America before, and I hated living in. I lived in Evanston, just outside of Chicago, and I hated it.
Small. That's a small suburb, yeah.
There was like 13 of us. No, that sounds exaggerated, but there was a big group of us, and we couldn't get an apartment anywhere in Chicago because all the Irish students at the time were like trashing all the apartments, so they would like literally hang up when they hear an Irish accent, which I don't blame them. So the only place we got was Evanston, and then I hated. It was more that I guess I wasn't having a good time with the people I was there with. Not that they're bad people, but I just didn't gel with them. And then I ended up going on I kind of ended up just traveling and going home early. So my opinion of living in America wasn't like the best.
Why were you living in Evanston?
Because we couldn't get an apartment in Chicago.
But why were you in America at that time?
Oh, just the summer visa, the summer J1 in between college.
Okay.
Irish people come over on a summer. A lot of them do it. They come over for the summer and work for the summer. They come out, right, it's a bit ridiculous, the whole thing. You come over and...
So this is while you were in
college, yeah.
College. And where did you go to college?
Oh, an art college in Dublin called Dunleary, IIT.
Okay. And I kind of want to follow this. I want to get back to what you're describing to me. But what was the goal in art college?
Oh, be a very successful artist.
Visual? Like...
Yeah, I do video. I did video and sculpture.
Oh, excellent!
Yeah.
Cool. I like I like learning about this kind of stuff because I feel like there's traces in how all sorts of creativity like leads into comedy. So
I think the best thing I did was do art before I did comedy, because each week your art piece you have to do like a weekly criticism, and the whole class have to point out what's wrong with the art piece so that you can make it better. So I feel like when I started doing comedy, I was so much more open to criticism than a lot of other comedians are when they start, or a lot of other people. So, and I think you need to take criticism to be a comedian, because some people are not going to like it when you start out, or like a joke, or figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because there's so much like unsolicited advice in comedy. Like you have to pick out the people that are the real deal, or have like the or either have the real deal or have your best interests in mind, and not just are like trying to make them a version of you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and for the video part, were you, was that filmmaking, or was that like experimental video?
Yeah, it's like video art. It was just weird.
Okay.
But it was definitely like had a narrative, each one, but it was just not a linear one, if I use the art speak.
Sure. So lots of like shots of somebody just looking out to sea, and then just saying like, Gloria, where have you been? Where will I go?
It's not poetry art.
Okay, so sculpture and video. So
I made videos about body communication and tone of voice. So like how we use it and how someone interprets it. So that was it, really.
That's like I feel like that's a useful skill you could apply that to like police interrogation.
Yeah, right.
I think
absolutely.
Okay, so you're going to art. So you're going to college or university. I'm cultured, listeners. And then the visa is called a J1. So you just do like I'll go experience America sort of thing.
Yeah, the thing with it is that you can work for 3 months and then travel for a month. But actually, when you come over, it takes about a month to find an apartment, to get yourself settled. Also, you don't get your security. What do you call it? What
security deposit?
No. What's it called that you use to have a job? Social security number.
Social security number.
That takes about a month to get. So you're kind of stuck there for a month actually with no job, and and then deposit and a broker's fee just to get, well, I suppose you can sublet, but it's very hard when you come over just doing the 3 months. So
Yeah,
I don't really know why they let us do it.
Yeah, I think about, I'm trying to learn more about this. I don't understand like the staying in like if you're going to stay in America for a little while, or especially if you're going to try to immigrate permanently to America, but it's very much set up to make you fail at every, it seems like it's set up to make you fail at every possible step, so that by the time you actually get it, they're like, they really wanted this.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Now we're going to give it to them.
Yeah, I believe that. It is really hard, especially when you come from Ireland where there's none of this realtor fee, and then the rent is so much cheaper, and I suppose you have family, and then and then living in such small space and just trying to figure out the city, it can be very hard. Like anyone I speak to, the first 6 months seems to be hell for them, and it was for me.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I can compare that to is my first, I felt like it was maybe my first year or so in New York, was just constantly teetering on the edge of abject disaster.
Yeah.
Like literally, either my financial safety, my ability to be living in a house or feel safe in that house or feed myself was just very precarious for a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I wonder, and maybe I'd love to get your opinion on this. I wonder if some of this stuff feeds into this idea of what the American dream is. Like I've been thinking about this recently. This like there's the like suffering part.
Yeah.
Like the same way like there's this idea that if you're going to be a successful comedian, you must suffer and it must be painful and unfun for so long. And then you're a success and you've earned it.
Yeah, which I think it's really bad attitude in the comedy world. Like when I started out, was doing like 3 mics a night, and I started running a show quite quickly, and I still consistently work really, really hard. But that's just the way I was brought up. But I don't work so hard as to the point to make myself sick anymore, which was what I was doing, because that is very much the attitude, and it's just something we put on ourselves. And comedians are so hard; they don't reward themselves for like doing a great show. They're like, oh, okay, when's the next thing? Oh, why am I on TV? And then they get on TV and they're like, why am I selling out? And then they sell out another thing and they're like, why am I the most famous? And it's like, they don't seem to be like, this is great and well done. Okay, I can breathe for a second. And then, and I just, for me, I want to make sure that I'm always like I'm very positive in comedy and happy, and I love what I do, but I never want it to be like, I don't see the point in doing it if you're not enjoying it. And that's a weird theory.
Yeah, it's a weird sort of...
Like I fucking left a family and an ocean, and I'd spent a lot of money to get here, and why wouldn't I enjoy what I'm doing? And I work full time and then go out and do it at nighttime, and you're giving up a lot of normal life things. I don't see why it has to be a weird sort of... That's like a weird religion where you like punish yourself so that you get into heaven. You have to just punish yourself. Doesn't mean you're going to be famous. And then also, what if you don't make it? Then you've been just punishing yourself for 10 years. And then, that's not fair. You have to be enjoying it. Or you make it and then you're like fucking dealing with famous people all the time. And you're like, shit, I wish I'd have been enjoying it when I was doing that bar show where 5 people. Yeah. I enjoy every show I do.
Same here. Like every time I go, I'm just like, I'm enjoying this. Like it's, comedy should be enjoyable for the person doing it. That doesn't mean every show is going to be easy or roses, but every show should be enjoyable. Otherwise, why are you doing it? If it's an ends to a mean, even if you get the mean, you're still probably going to feel empty inside, because whatever you're chasing is not going to fill the hole you're trying to fill.
Totally agree. And then if there's bad shows, once you're just able to be logical and be like, because of course you feel a certain way, but you have to listen to your logical voice, which is just like, okay, what did I learn from that? And I won't let that happen again. And then you're like, okay, grand, feckin', I should be a counselor.
No, I think
comedian counselor.
I think you do a good job at it, because I generally enjoy your vibe every time I see you at shows. I like your sort of like always look on the bright side of life sort of vibe. I really I enjoy your energy.
I'm very tired today, but
oh, if this is you tired, I imagine if you're well rested, just like beam some sunshine.
Yeah, I'm really tired today. Oh my god, because I went to Kansas City and did this festival, and it was amazing. It was an Irish, Kansas City Irish Festival, which like just was like a big celebration of the culture. And but they treated me so well and they fed me so well, and then I was sleeping in a hotel that since I've come back I haven't been able to sleep as well because my room feels too hot, and I just have to get back into slumming it again.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Every time I travel, I kind of feel the same way because I always eat. I always indulge in anything I want to eat. I maybe spend things that I don't really need, but I really like because I got my things I collect, and then I come back to reality. I'm like, okay, time to readjust.
Yeah.
Okay, so I kind of want to trace this because I like where we're going here. So your your initial time in the United States is not good vibes.
Oh, and I had a boyfriend in Ireland and I missed him a lot. I liked him at the time.
Yeah. Is this the one who had a week to move out eventually?
Yes.
Okay. So you eventually, when do you leave Evanston? Do you come back to Ireland?
Yes, I can't even remember how old I was when that was. I was only there for about 2 months, less.
And are you doing comedy at this point? When does stand-up factor in?
I didn't start comedy until I moved to New York.
Okay, so you come back to Ireland, and what happens next?
I was in art college, and then I think I had a couple of more years in that, and finished up my degree. Broke up with my boyfriend, moved over here. Oh no, broke up with my boyfriend before I finished my degree. Oh, I still had to finish, but when I got in the visa, I still had to finish my degree, and then I moved over as soon as I graduated, November 23rd, and I moved over to America November 24th.
And what year was that?
I don't know. Whenever 4 years ago was, or
4 years ago. So
it'll be 4 years in November. So
4 years in November. So it's 2018. So that's 2014. Okay, because I'm trying to I chart other people's New York time against my own. So I've been here since 2010. So it's 2014. Yeah, I'm trying to remember like what was going on comedy wise. Okay, so is this coming to America is like sort of like it's the part if we're filming the movie of your life, this is like where the beginning of the second act, and like so you're like, all right, I'm gonna go to America and see what that is.
I came and I lived with distant relatives in Connecticut and Greenwich. Because my great grandfather's brothers moved over here, so we have like distant relatives, and stayed with them for 2 months, and I got an internship at MoMA PS1.
Yep. And in Long Island City?
Yes. And so I moved up to New York. I moved in with Irish people who were all insane. Oh my God, that was a nightmare.
Well, I'm thinking about Long Island City, which is, and MoMA PS1 is near the creek and the cave, and down the road from the creek is that Irish activities center.
Yeah, the Ashling Center.
Did you spend any? Have you ever done like a show or spent any time there? No.
No, when I came over, I was very much like I was living with Irish people, but outside of it, I wanted to make American friends. I wanted not to get. Now I want to do more Irish things actually because I miss my country sometimes. But when I first came over, I didn't want to do Irish things. I kind of just wanted to meet new cultures and. Sure. But I didn't like working at MoMA PS1. It was horrible.
Yeah.
No, sorry, MoMA PS1, but you're hardly listening.
So you move into the city and at initial not good vibes. So when does stand up play into it for you? Did you like stand up growing up, or were you aware of it?
I did, but I never thought I would ever do it. But
who did you like? Who are some of your favorites?
Tommy Tiernan and Dara O'Brien. They're Irish comedians.
I'm gonna look them.
They're really great. They're the best. I've seen them a lot. They're the only two comics I actually watched growing up, really. And Frankie Boyle a little bit, actually.
Frankie Boyle I've heard of. Yes,
he's pretty dark.
I like him. I like that. Yeah, like because again, there's a certain levity in the darkness that I enjoy in a lot of my comedy.
Yeah.
Not my personally, but like the stuff I seek out.
Absolutely.
I like that sort of like, well, this is shit. Well, let's laugh about it.
But I was miserable because I couldn't afford so I gave up 3 months rent for the apartment straight away, and then I was signed into a lease, and it was like, and then the couple I was living with were like literally beating each other up the whole time, and then the other girl I was living with was like she would be like, who drank my milk, and she'd have marked down who was drinking the milk and stuff. It was mental. So I spent all my money on that, and then I was working the internship at MoMA is like 5 long days, and it's unpaid, and they don't even give you a bloody Metro card, and it's kind of like you're lucky to get this. So then I couldn't and then I couldn't get a bloody job that would fit around the hours of MoMA. So when I did get one, it was like I was trying to work every other hour at a bar, and I got the worst paying bar job because they shared the tips with the takeout staff too, so you weren't even getting your bloody tips.
That
and
sucks.
to eat, I was stealing food from the artist green room in MoMA, like, because they would buy all these bagels, so they wouldn't eat all the bagels. So I wasn't really stealing, I just wasn't throwing it in the bin or the trash when they would tell me to do. I was bringing it home. But then because I was eating so much bread, I was eating like 8 bagels a day, I ended up actually gaining so much weight.
That's
but I was
that's
like,
so unfair.
I know. So I remember one time my dad was like, Jesus, you're after putting on, I've lost it all now, but he was like, you're after putting on a good bit of weight. And I was like, I'm just eating shite. I can't.
Yeah.
You can't afford to eat healthy here if you're poor.
Yeah, you really can't.
And my parents had to lend me some money because I wasn't going to afford the next month's rent, and I've never like really had to do that before. I've never had to do that before. But like, you know, they're good parents, but they have like bloody 4 of the kids. They can't be fucking supporting me, like. So but then once I started comedy, it all got better.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that, because I relate to that so much. Like what I found, and like the bagels, there's a certain underground economy to like working people. And I don't mean it in like a blue collar or white collar, but because I think those are kind of outdated terms, because you can work really hard and not have to like stand up all day. Like because like when I was working at a coffee shop, I was Starbucks, and I barely could afford my rent. Like I had to borrow money once from my coworker who's a Jehovah's Witness, so I could stay in my apartment. I paid him back. I'm always eternally grateful for that bit of help. And there was like a halal cart, like, chicken and rice or lamb over rice, and they would give me free food, and I would bring them my free drink that I would get.
You only get one free drink working at Starbucks.
You get free drinks before and after your shift and during. So I was like waking up at 4 in the morning. I was waking up at 4 in the morning and staying out till like midnight to do open mics, like at the Pit, and I was just like a zombie.
I know. I remember those Pit late night mics. I love when you get good enough that you're like, I actually don't need to do an 11 p.m. mic.
Yeah, I sort of hit that point. I hit the point where I was like, well, I can be well rested, or I can go to that mic and like cry on the train home.
No, it's not worth it. Ugh.
Yeah, I think you need to do a lot of sets when you start, but you do hit a point of diminishing returns where you got to start working smarter.
100%. I think you need to do a good year where you nearly kill yourself.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I like this. Now I can be not, because you don't want to make yourself sick. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
But it's 100%. More like, and it depends on people's stage presence. Like I was better at, I needed to get up as many times as I could to actually get comfortable being on stage.
Right. So when did you first start comedy, and when?
Actually, I haven't been doing it as long as people, like, I suppose there's this weird thing that I feel like people were quite okay, how do I say this? I'm gonna
to maybe it'll help. I'm gonna say you look and sound like a very accomplished performer when you're on stage.
Okay, thank you, that's so sweet.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, and I feel like because I was running a show so quickly, I got a lot of stage time very quickly. But it was actually only 3 years in August. And I've done a lot of festivals in that time. I've done like 6 different or 7 different festivals, and done like a lot of different roasts, and done like different competitions and stuff. So I've gotten a lot. I feel like I've gotten a lot done in a few years. But then again, look at Nikki Glaser. She was fecking on TV after 2 years. And Trevor Noah was selling out bloody theaters after 3 years. But it's just, you have these comics who are like, oh, you need to be doing it 10 years. And it's like, yeah, but were you doing it 10 years in fucking Minnesota or something where there's 1 mic a month?
Yeah.
So it kind of, and then some people just progress differently. Like I feel like being in art
100%.
college. Yeah, well, like art college was very performative, and you had to, and then, creating stuff, and then I did a lot of writing there. So I feel like, and I ran a lot of exhibitions, so running shows was very easily to transition.
Yeah. All very transferable skills. Like I think like Jordan Temple, I don't think has been doing actual like stand up for terribly long, but he has this improv background, so that all kind of feeds all this stuff sort of feeds into it. And the only thing I'll say about like bitter comedians, which this idea of like you have to either have to make it by a certain point, or certain people don't deserve to make it by a certain point. I'm like, there's not one way that this happens for anyone.
No.
Like Mark Maron arguably made it on his own terms late in life.
Yeah, or Bill Burr too.
Or Bill Burr.
Late,
yeah, like they're all in their like 40s and 50s. Again, putting in the time, like, and something I thought about recently. I think Maron and Laurie Kilmartin were talking on a podcast. He did Conan like 45 something times, and he starts doing a podcast, and then he's famous.
Wow. Yeah. So, that is mad. Well, sure, we have friends that have been on late night TV, and some of them it helped blow them up, but some of them, like, you know, it hasn't helped at all. I think you have to be. I think there must be something as well where you have to use it. Like, I think that some comedians' confidence, like, they could get on TV, but they're still like, oh, I don't deserve. I don't know. That's not fair to say either. But I mean, we know comedians who have done TV and they're still not. They haven't blown up.
Yeah,
they're still like, you know, grinding their arse off. So and they're still walking dogs, and they're very talented. But like you said, that doesn't mean you're gonna.
Yeah, that doesn't mean the same thing it used to. Yeah. Like, and again, it's just the nature of my limited understanding of the entertainment business. It's just sort of or like someone like, you know, like look at like Last Comic Standing. Like for a lot of people, a lot of comics did not blow up from that, and a lot of comics. I'm thinking about like the people who have won, and then like Gabriel Iglesias got disqualified.
Yeah.
From Last Comic Standing, and he tours arenas around the world now.
Yeah.
I love the fact that he does that.
I just wonder as well, like, I think though, if you just get seen in the right thing and find your audience.
Yeah. Like
when I did the Kansas City Festival, I was like, oh, my audience is Irish and Irish American. And women, young women came up to me afterwards, and like they were so receptive to it, and they don't see, that's in the Midwest, so they said they never saw a young woman live doing comedy. And I was like, wow, this is how do I get you guys to follow me around the country and pay for me to do this?
Well, here's the thing, and let me know if you got to head out soon, because I know you got a spot tonight. QED, great place in Astoria for live comedy. I kind of want to trace this a little bit, and this has been a lovely conversation. If you ever wanted to come back on and have another another episode, I would be absolutely down. This is, and again, I am not. I'm not talking from my own experience. So, this is what I'm thinking about. So, it sounds naive of me to say, but it does blow my mind that people have not seen women do stand-up comedy. Yeah. When I know when lots of women do stand-up comedy, and lots of women are great at stand-up comedy. Yeah. So.
We're the best.
So those women, there's probably other versions of those ladies in other cities.
Yeah.
So talking about like finding your audience, because again, you're naturally kind of very friendly and sweet on stage. So there's probably other friendly and sweet people that will vibe with you.
Yeah.
I think.
They were very nice, sweet, lovely women, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of good natured, and I guess the Midwest is a little bit religious.
A little bit. Yeah, like when we were talking about the lashes, the comedy lashes, it's almost like this like bizarre secular form of Catholicism in a way.
Yeah. I was doing a whole Christian bit where I was in sort of slagging off, like slagging, I should explain what that means, but like not insulting but playfully insulting a guy who
teasing,
yeah, a guy who one time asked me out on a date, but he like definitely shoved God down my throat, and I was really nervous about doing it there, but they took it really well, so I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, and like people, like this, the whole debate about like people are being oversensitive about certain topics. Like, I think as long I sincerely think you can talk about anything as long as it's
Funny.
Funny.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
That would be great.
The problem is, and I probably have said this to other people way too often. Again, not like I'm saying I know anything. But you can talk about anything. You will not be able to make anything funny. And if you are going to, I think if you're gonna play with stuff that could potentially upset the entire room, the bit's got to be great.
Yeah.
It's got to be great, and it should be you should know where you're coming from in a way where you can back up what you're saying.
My stepmom actually said a great thing about what you're talking about. So, you would consider her as an audience member. And she says when she goes to a show, she doesn't want the comedian to forget that it's their job to make her laugh. So she's like, when it gets too political, if it's not funny, or when it gets too, this is how we should change the world, or when it gets too raunchy, or when it gets too fuck women or whatever, if it's not funny, then you're not doing your job. You can say whatever you want, but you just gotta make it funny. Like, I love will I get chastised for this? Who knows? I love Jim Jeffries, and he says
I think he's hilarious.
He says some shitty stuff about women, but
Yes,
I know it's not true, and he sets it up like, oh, I'm this character, and it's a a well-written joke. And specifically, I didn't like some of the stuff he's done. Some of the stuff has been like, ugh, but really loved his new special.
Oh,
and obviously his gun control bit, that's hysterical.
Oh, that's
but his
a great
new
bit.
special, I was just dying, and he insults everybody, so it's like,
Yeah, and I'm also willing to bet that's like, if you really asked him how he truly felt, that's very different from what he would say on stage, because when he does that chunk, it was the special after the gun control bit. He had this chunk on Bill Cosby that he opened with, and he talks about like getting attacked in the press, and he was like, if you read my material, it's a bad read.
I saw that. That's so true. You can't read stand-up comedy.
It really is. I haven't done this on stage yet, but I was thinking about this idea of like, tone of voice and nuance, talking about what you like when school, or like, for example, say you're like having sex with somebody, and they ask you in a like panting voice, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
That's very different from if you're having sex with someone and they ask you, what are you doing?
Yeah, that I made a short movie on a similar, but not sex, but on a very similar ideal. Yeah. Idea.
Yeah, like everything around it makes a lot.
And when reading, you're reading it in your own interpretation. And if you don't like Jim Jeffries, you're going to read it as like, well, it's a very good point. It was and it's for me as well. If someone read my comedy, like, I do tweets and stuff like that, but on my stage, I do a lot of facial expressions. So I feel like you're selling a persona. Yeah,
like there's a certain like performative element to it that doesn't always translate with the written words alone.
God, no. Let me think of a joke that I say that if it was written. I'm trying to think, do I have any weird... no, I don't think I do. Oh, well, I have a bit about a nurse giving us the sexual education, and she said if you have anal sex, your organs will fall out of your arse. But when I talk about it, but I wonder if that was written down. That could be read many different ways. It could read like that I'm, but the joke is very much that I believed it, and so like you could read that any sort of way, I guess. I don't really know. I don't really say anything too wild. I don't really have any severe opinions to get in too much trouble.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing I think about. As well. Like, I
did get deleted off Facebook for calling men ugly in a joke, and then recently I got a post taken off Facebook for a saying, I said, me, I hate men, my stepmom, clearly you don't. And it's just such a fucking bad, stupid joke, but they said that it went against their standards. So they're reading that as me being like, fuck men. Ugh.
Right.
But it's like,
and they don't.
The joke is that I actually clearly really do love men.
Yeah, exactly. And they're not thinking that you're a comic. And
I wrote to them. I'm a fucking comedian. This is bullshit. Yeah. And I wrote, is this a robot? And then write back to me. And then I got them to review it. I got them to review it again. The whole thing is... anyway, look, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, you should do the same joke, but I hate women. Katie stepmom. Clearly you don't. And see if your fucking post gets deleted.
Yeah. I should... Oh my gosh, I should start doing that. Every post of yours and other ladies, because I'm going to talk to Marsha Belsky eventually during like that whole like men are scum thing that was happening on Facebook. I should just start copy pasting with people, and then
That's so ridiculous, because men are ugly or men are scum. That's just like an insult. That's nothing. That's not hate speech.
Yeah.
It's just an insult.
Yeah, essentially.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's a bizarre world, and I think a lot of companies are going to have to figure out how they're going to apply it. You got to get to your spot.
I gotta go.
All right, Katie Boyle. I think we got a great start. I feel like there's another 45-minute conversation.
That'll be so fun
before it's all said and done. So thank you so much. And anything you want to promote real quick?
Yeah. Well, if any of are ever in Astoria, I have a transplants comedy show every fourth Saturday of the month at 7:30 p.m. At QED. And follow me on Instagram, because if I get 20,000 followers, then I get an agent, and I need like 18,000 more. So at Katie Boyle Comic.
All right, so
maybe I'll be famous by the time you listen to this.
Maybe. So all 18,000 people that are going to listen to this, go follow Katie.
How many people listen to this usually?
I usually get like, my last couple episodes have been doing pretty well. I've gotten like, I had a big guest, got a couple thousand.
Wow.
I got,
please, 1,000 people follow me. Katie Boyle Comic. KatieBoyleComic. Please.
Yes.
I put my face on there.
Yeah, she's great on Instagram. Thank you, Katie.
Thanks. Bye.
I thought she had been doing comedy a lot longer than she has, because she's very, very confident on stage, and she's very funny, and she's just a very sweet lady. So I thank you, Katie, for your time, and I appreciate you guys listening. Again, if you want to give us a rating or subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher, you can do so there. You can also follow me on Twitter at ComicWillCarey. That is at ComicWillCarey. And if you want to keep an eye out for my stand-up dates, you can go to my website, willcareyisfunny.com. And if you're in the New York City area this Wednesday, I'll be the band leader for the show Jerkin' the Curtain at the People's Improv Theater in New York on 24th Street in Manhattan at 8 p.m. So I hope to see some of you guys there. And I hope you guys have a good one. And I will see you next week between Awesome and Disaster. Take care, everyone.